Hello everyone, my name is John Bastavros and welcome to Amped 2. This is a freestyle snowboarding game released on the original Xbox in 2003, developed as an exclusive for the game by Microsoft, for the console, by Microsoft Game Studios, now defunct obviously. It's been 20 years since this game came out, and in honor of the 20th anniversary of Amped 2, I thought I would go through the game and do a playthrough of it, you know, from start to finish. I love this game. It's been a defining part of my childhood, and I unlocked a lot more of the game's potential as I got older, though. So, and once again, not once again, but like I want to give a big shout out to the Extreme Sports YouTube channel, Insedic47, for inspiring me to make videos on this game, because he really taught me a lot about what I understand about this game's, like, you know, more hidden mechanics and about a lot of the levels. So like he's really gone above and beyond for, you know, making this game more accessible for more people, and I want to be part of the mission of bringing more high quality content for Amped 2 onto YouTube. And we're going to start the Let's Play with a bit of a jokey video. This is going to be a part 0, so to speak. This part is going to be how not to play this game. So, this game came out on the original Xbox, but right now I am playing this on the Xemu app, which is essentially one of the more popular Xbox emulators that are available on Windows 10, Windows 11, all kinds of software. By default, Xbox emulator has keyboard as an input, which can be a bit of a pain depending on the game you're playing. If it's a racing game or you know, a shooter game, it might not be that, a first-person shooter game, it might not be that bad. But in a game like Amped 2, it's pretty painful. We'll get into more detail about how the controls work in the actual video, but just to start, basically the core mechanic of this gameplay, the core mechanic of the gameplay in Amped 2 is that you need to hold the inputs halfway in to get more points, to get a more controlled, stylish trick, be it, you know, grinding on a rail or doing like a really sick, you know, double backflip across like a jump or something. You want to do it more stylishly, because that way it looks cooler and gets you more points. Problem is, you need to hold the left thumbstick or the triggers or whatever halfway in order to be able to get the style, which is a problem when you're playing on the keyboard, because there is no input for halfway. There's only all the way in or nothing at all. Just as a show, this is me moving the left thumbstick all the way in, all the way right, and this is me moving the right thumbstick all the way up. Left trigger all the way in. I can't do anything halfway, which poses a problem for Amped 2. I mean, not necessarily, only like later through the game, but like the game gets exponentially harder without a controller. And I just want to show you how hard this is by doing a run of what I consider to be the largest level in the game, the Big Ridge drop point on the New Zealand level. This is a giant level, and we're going to look at it in more detail later, but if you watch Insedic47's Let's Play of this series from 2015, again, he's been a huge inspiration for me. But if you watch his Let's Play on this mountain, he does a line where he does like this giant ass trick off to the right here and gets like 150,000 points. Now here, I'm going to show you what the best possible way to get points from this is. So I just did a tweaked grab and nothing else. Essentially, if you do nothing else other than a tweaked grab, you can get style. But that is the only way to get style on a keyboard. because everything else requires half inputs. Otherwise, it's just really kind of scuffed. So, I'm going to do a bit of a corkscrew with the greatest of ease. That was pretty decent, but tricks that would otherwise be relatively simple to do require a lot of input and a lot of thought. So that was me doing an indie grab. That was me doing like a double corkscrew spin. That required me pressing 5 different buttons at the same time, which can be a little bit of a pain because you have to, especially if you don't know what button corresponds to what, because the way that grabs work in this game is that you need to hold the right thumbstick in a different direction, and because the right thumbstick has all manner of different ways it can be pressed and different tweaks you can do on top of that, you got to think about what buttons you have to press in order to be able to accomplish the trick competently. So that's the end of that run, and I was doing a little bit less there because I was doing commentary at the same time, but as you could see, in Insetic's run, he easily got 300,000 off of this run, but I barely struggled to get 130. I got across the entire run what he managed to do across the first jump, which speaks to how scuffed Ant 2 is without a controller. And again, just to look back into the inputs again, doing a backside stale grab requires that you press, based on the default inputs for the keyboard, which, by the way, cannot be modified. That's actually something that Xemu, there isn't any support for modifying the inputs. You need to press J, K, and O at the same time, because J moves the right thumbstick left, K moves the right thumbstick down, and this is where the stalefish grab is in regular stance, and you press O for the right trigger, which turns it into a backside stale. And if you want to press W on top of that, that turns it into a tweaked stale. So I may have made my run look a little bit easier than it actually was, but just know that I'm doing a lot at once here. So now we're going to do an actual trick that you might do on a controller. Okay, that was a little bit scuffed because that's another issue with this game, is that if you don't time, the timing for jumping off of a jump is even more precise, because you need to let go of A at the right moment. So I just did a pretty regular trick there that wouldn't be that hard to pull off on a normal controller, but I had to press J, K, and O for the BS stale grab, and I had to, for the left thumbstick, I had to press E and F at the same time. So 5 fingers had to be in use for that, as opposed to, the 2 or 3 that you would need on an actual controller. So this is a lane nose grab. There are ways to get points, but there is definitely an upper limit onto how many points you can get, which make the later runs much more difficult than they would be otherwise. So we're gonna just finish this run out, and actually, perhaps there's one more thing to show what makes this game a little bit scuffed. Is we're gonna do on Bear Mountain 1. A pro run. So these challenges require you to follow a professional snowboarder and one up all their tricks. And that first trick is pretty much impossible. You need to get 16,000 points off of a combo, and that's very difficult. Meanwhile, you can just do a simple double corkscrew to pass this one, which isn't that difficult on a keyboard, but it gets a little bit harder from here. This is where you need to start focusing. So the way I do this one usually is just to do a tweaked grab, try and get points off of that, but I tend to miss that one a lot. you need to be able to land on the rail that comes after that jump, and it's very difficult because of the angle of the snow. So, anyway. That was not too difficult. And this one requires a very good jump and that you get at least sick on the landing. There we go, stopped it, and there you see I barely passed it. And now we're going to do another double click. And for here I need to switch up the tweaked grab, so I got to think about what grab I need to be doing. And I ended up failing it there because I did the wrong grab. But like you gotta do like a lot of different things at once, and you'll never make it to the end. Whereas with a controller, this wouldn't end up being that difficult. Like it's not too hard to do any of these tricks. You can skip 2 of them. I played through on this save file for about 5 hours last night, and I managed to make it all the way to event 3 with this file. I thought I would top out at Mount Buller. I thought there was no way I was going to beat that level, but I managed to make it past event 3, despite all that. But even so, I don't think you can make it to the end of the game with just a keyboard, because you need to be able to do big combos, massive stylish tricks, things that are beyond the ceiling of what's possible on a keyboard. As you saw off the big ridge jump in New Zealand, I only managed about 50,000 off of that huge jump in this game where you can normally accomplish 150,000. So anyway, that was a bit of a showcase as to how. Anyway, that was I apologies if I didn't explain things thoroughly enough, but I just wanted to showcase what it's like playing this game on an emulator for the original Xbox rather than on the original hardware. Also, there's a multitude of other issues with this, such as the speech. The speech doesn't really work. So media guys and snowboarders and gondola wire people, they don't talk at all, which makes the game kind of awkward. And also, you can't hear the snowmen. Also, the music is broken. Like the music is actually playing right now. If I show the options audio, like everything is on. Like music is playing, but that's it. Like this game hasn't been fixed properly. Like there isn't the audio support isn't complete on this one. So like the music is playing and it's just there's no volume coming out of it. So the only thing that you can hear are the sound effects, which makes playing Amped 2 on the Xbox emulator kind of not only difficult but just awkward in general. But anyway, that is just a showcase of how you shouldn't of how not to play Amped 2. This is like Amped 2 is a wonderful game of optimization and unlocking potential, but this is not how you should be doing it. So that's part 0 of this Let's Play. In 2 weeks, I will start playing from the beginning of the game and start explaining in more detail how everything works. On the original Xbox, the one that I've had since I was a kid, it's a little bit temperamental, but we'll work that out. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this kind of weird, wacky showcase of Amped 2 being a little bit scuffed. And I hope you leave a like and comment and whatever, and I'll see you next time.